Yo, what's up guys? I'm Dunmir, I'm a rank 1 peak Supervive player, and here is a Jin guide for you. So in this guide, I'm going to go ahead and start off telling you guys things about his abilities and how you do the combos that are important to his kit. And then I'm going to go and run through some gameplay and show you how to actually play the character and put it all together. Alright, so starting off, Jin has a little movement tech that's really important to learn. That's really important for his combo. His base combo is going to look something like this, right? It's just a dashing with some bunny hops into his primary fire attack. So his primary fire attack has a couple different ways that it functions. The regular version of holding and charging it up is what you're looking to do. The charged up version has a perfect timing on it. So if you charge it up and you release it around the time that you hit as the bar fully charges, you'll get an extra damage and you'll get extra distance, right? Here's how it looks before. Here's how it looks after. You don't go as far, and I'll show you in the bot, you don't deal as much damage either. So you're looking to get it around this time frame, right? But what this will let you do is it'll let you get more distance in the air. More distance in the air, this, nothing, versus this, right? Combine that with a dash, and you're getting a lot of extra distance, right? That'll let you really aggro onto someone and hit them. So when you see a bot appear like this, or an enemy, you can hit something like this on top of them and burn them for some extra damage. So that's basically the most standard combo you're looking to hit on people. Just dashing, charging it up, and hitting them. And it's pretty forgiving too, so you don't have to worry about getting the timing exactly correct, right? And there's two versions of it you can do. You can do one where you pre-charge and then you jump and dash. That's for something kind of closer, like this one, right? And then there's another version where you're further away and you see the enemy and you need to get some distance, where instead of pre-charging it, you're going to dash and then charge and then bunny hop. So where after you land, you jump again. You get some extra speed and maintains your momentum. And so with this, you're going to jump, dash, start charging, jump again when you hit the ground, and then you're going to release it after you've jumped, right? So it's going to look something like this. I did it, I didn't get quite the distance here, but it's going to look something like that, right? Just like that. You can get pretty far with it. If you really need to, you can just hold it a little bit extra just to make sure you're getting the right distance on it and you're going to hit them. So that's going to be your basic attack, your basic commitment into an engagement. But how do you actually use that to finish a target? So what you're going to do is use this combo. You're going to get on top of an enemy. Once you've hit them, then you're going to use your uppercut combo. You're going to uppercut them and then slam. And that's going to put most targets at around this HP, right? And from there, it's just as simple as spamming your attack. Just using your regular primary fire attack to continue dealing damage to them and just hit them, hit them, hit them, hit them. Obviously, depending on how much HP they had first, or if they were tankier, it's going to take a little bit more or less, right? But that's what you're looking to do. Just note that on the third version of this combo of attacks, you deal more damage if you're farther away from the enemy. So if you're really on top of the enemy, you only deal 169 in this case. But if you're a little bit further away, you deal nearly twice that damage. Actually, exactly twice that damage. And so you need to make sure when you're doing this combo that you're hitting them, right? So you're doing something like this, hitting the combo, slamming them, boom. I forgot to do the actual full combo, but you're looking to engage upon them, hitting it, uppercut, slam, boom, 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 if they were standing right there, right? And that will kill a vast majority of characters in the game, and you'll be able to finish them off. Nice and easy. There is another way to engage. It's not as commonly used, it's not as simple, and it doesn't lean into using Amplifier, which is the best item for him right now. And that is using your R&B to engage, right? So the R&B will take you and teleport you right behind the enemy, right? Ready for an attack. But what you can do is after you throw this little dagger, you can start charging up your attack. Boom. Right? So you can go ahead and do this, start charging it up, immediately hit them, and immediately go into your combo there. That will let you finish them off with it. It's important to note that if you finish targets with the combo, you do get a reset on it. And so you can go on ahead and get insta resets. It's not that important to play for because the cooldown's on such a low cooldown anyway. As you can see, I full did it and I'm on a 4-second cooldown. So, Nothing too crazy with that one. The cooldown was a little longer shorter because of the amplifier stacks here. And so that's important to understand, and that's what you're playing for. Jin also has another way that he can move, which is his ultimate, right? You pop the ultimate, it teleports to a location, it can go through walls, and then you hold the teleport to immediately teleport to that location. This is best used for escapes, but can be used for an engagement also. Say like the enemy is looking at you and you're with your team, you can just go ahead and pop it behind them. Before they kill it, you just TP onto it and start blowing up the enemy, right? So you can put a lot of damage into the enemy that way. And so you can also do this combo to go ahead and just chase enemies out in the abyss really far. Say, an enemy's like running away from you, see them like dashing out into the abyss like this. You can go ahead and charge it up, dash, hit them, and then slam them straight into the abyss like this, right? And that's just a combo you can get to get a lot of value in the enemy. And similarly, you can also use the ultimate to help yourself get back after this sort of thing. You can go ahead and start hitting the combo, pop your ultimate, and then explode the enemy, spike them down, and then teleport back right where you need to go. And it's a pretty safe thing because, you insta teleport, you don't have to worry about the enemy like stopping you in between. So very valuable way to use that too, potentially. So quick note, the footage looks a little bit weird because the model for Jin is a little bit old in this footage. This is like a couple of weeks old. Everything in the game is exactly the same. It's the same build that the current version is on, minus the fact that Jin, it looks a little bit different. So don't worry about that. Everything is the same. All right. So how do you actually play Jin? Jin is an assassin character, right? Of course, who has very low range and just wants to jump on top of people and kill them, of course. But how do you go about doing that? The most important base concept for how to play these type of characters is to look for flanks, right? When you're on a flank, you have the ability to get on top of enemies without them ever having seen you in the first place, and to close the gap that your lack of range requires from you, right? And so that's the most important base concepts for that. So flanking allows you to do that really, really easily, because you approach from angles where you won't accidentally just take like a stun or spam damage just by, the enemy having thrown it at your teammates and you walking into it, while also allowing you to get out of vision of the enemy. So you can hit this sort of engage and just walk up on them when they're not ready, sort of like in this clip here. And as you can see, our Jin player here just waits for me, the Oath, to distract the enemy and then engage them from the shadows, right? He didn't technically hit a flank on this one, but he used advantage of the invisibility bushes to go ahead and just jump on them and destroy them, right? And you're going to see a lot of this sort of stuff. Obviously, it's not going to be completely just, every single time he goes on a flank, but that's the core of what you're looking to do. To look over a flank or get in some sort of position where the enemy can't see you before you jump on top of them, right? Because a Jin on top of the enemy is a Jin that's about to kill that enemy, in nearly all characters, right? And the only way he really loses is if, he completely fluffs his mechanics, which really aren't that hard in this character, or the enemy hits him with some sort of stun beforehand, like we're going to see in this clip here. We come in from a flank. We just finished doing our thing. I'm the Oath, of course. And then right as we approach this side angle, as you can see on the mini-map above, our team has been bullying them. This is a perfect flank, completely from the side. And then these guys haven't even seen him. He's approaching from the high ground, which is another valuable thing that you can do, because people can't see up high grounds, of course. And then boom, straight into them. He first engages with the empowered left click. You're going to use some sort of dash to get into it with it. If you release it right as it's fully charged, you get extra damage. There's 455 damage there. And then immediately he's going to do the combo and slam both of those guys for double damage. When you're looking for these sort of flanks, you're looking for enemies that are either completely alone or stacked up, right? You don't really want to go for enemies that are like a little bit split. You want to go for or a little bit separated. You want to go from enemies that are either completely alone, or you want to go on enemies that are within the range of a full combo, basically, right? Being hit with your AoE damage. Because unlike in other games, Jin actually has a lot of AoE damage, right? So a character like Tracer in Overwatch, or whatever other example in League of Legends. I don't play that game, sorry. Whatever example, they typically don't have that sort of thing, right? So here you're going to see an example of exactly what I've been talking about, where he waits for an opportunity of the enemy to group up. So right now these guys are really grouped up, right? So right now in his brain, he sees these and he goes, this is an engagement opportunity, right? He's on a flank with his squad here, looks to charge it up, engages from an angle. This isn't like a hard flank, right? If he'd engaged from the angle that the Celeste is on the right side, that would have been a much more hard angle, and a little bit better, I think. But from this sort of angle, when you're going in, it's still enough that you're not catching regular spam from the front, but you still have to be wary about getting knocked back from some sort of thing like a shield bash from the Oath or something like that, right? So he engages, hits a nice slam onto both these guys, double damages them, goes for the combo, doesn't get the combo, but since they're so grouped up and they're so low, he can use his RMB, the ranged like teleportation projectile, to throw it right on top of the enemy, hit them there, teleport on top of them, and then he's just killing them with primary fires. Primary fires with a dash. You're constantly chasing between the enemies, getting your damage onto them, and slapping them in the face here, dashing between, right? And you'll get a lot of value from that. Making sure that you're actually consistently like dashing between enemies. And it's okay to take a tiny bit of time, right? Like our Jin player here does it really quickly, but make sure, it's okay to take a little bit of time to ensure that you're dashing correctly between targets, right? You don't want to just be hitting your shifts just randomly. You don't want to be like slapping your keyboard and trying to get on top of the enemy, right? It's perfectly fine for you to get your engagements slowly, methodically, and get more comfortable over time, and get better at doing that. Right. So, like I said, you're looking for two types of primary objectives or aims. You're going to either on somebody on an off angle, someone really hard flanking that's not like paying attention, not with their team, because you win those sort of exchanges, or you're looking for a group. So that's like the core of this. You're engaging with your dash into the primary fire charged up like you just saw, and then you're looking for a combo, right? And so when you're going into situations like, what is your essential like go? Your go trigger is something like this, right? We are a little bit late coming into this fight, but as soon as we pull up, we see that guy's not looking at us, and right here, like this is something that's really, it's a total kill opportunity. The timing of that didn't work properly, so we didn't get the distance on it. And he's trying to maintain his amplifier stacks on his shift, so that's why he wouldn't use like his RMB. He could have used it. It's just risking like losing those stacks, which is what the recommended build in general. Running it with amplifier, having like non-stop dashing. But that's your go trigger. You're able to engage in them, and an enemy that's even if they start looking at you afterwards, they probably are in an awkward enough situation that they can't stop you, right? And so on a character like Jin, something that's useful to pay attention to is that you don't really need to be gliding much, right? You'll see it here where you have 3 different ways to make yourself not have to glide. So he goes here, right? And he looks for this combo and he barely misses it. And right now he's falling down into the abyss and he can't mantle on this edge because there's a rail there. And so instead of doing that, he uses one of his 2 options, which is throw his RMB at this guy. Because he would be almost certainly spiked there if he used his glider. So he goes to use the RMB on this guy, teleport on behind him. He also could have used his ultimate to get him. That would have been another option, but he makes sure that he goes ahead and does that, and looks for that opportunity. What you're gonna see happen a lot, and is a very, very important thing for Jin, is if you get an engagement on the enemy and you kill them, or but you can't quite secure the kill, and the fight's generally neutral, or you don't do that well, and the fight isn't that neutral and you don't get a good engage, is that you look to reset up, right? You don't need to keep running at the enemy. Just because the fight's going on doesn't mean you have to be going on and like hard engaging all the time. And so in this situation, like I said, he kills and heads and he kills this guy. Kills him right here. But here you have him with low cooldowns, or low setup, like half HP. He's not able to do quite what he wants to. And then a brawl and this jewel drop on him. So it's okay for him to disengage, wait a little bit, And as soon as some other people on our team have tanked aggro on them, me on the oath, Luke on the gunner here, Hudson here, then he looks to go in. His grapple pulls him a little bit too far. This is actually just a really good play from the Kingpin here. But we see him look to restage and go back in, right? And here you're looking at what I talked about with one of those options to escape with. He did it a little bit late, so I think he ended up needing to pop his glider to do it. But he attempted to put his ultimate up there and teleport. That would have been an option for him to get back up in certain circumstances where you have an awkward situation. But we go ahead and we get the res. And side note at this point, I have a fixer and multiple bonfires, so I've just been walking around trolling and tossing them around just for funsies. It's just pretty funny. So if you see me doing weird things, that's why. All right. So the other thing about Jin here is Jins are very useful at being spontaneous, right? As in reactive to what's going on in the game. And so here you're going to see him. One of our players was dead. Right now, he's like looking for an engage, right? He's looking for something, but it's not a good engage for him because he'd have to jump directly into the enemy team where there's 4 people looking right at him, right? But the bunny here decides to feed their brains out. And so he instantly goes on it and finishes it once by himself, right? Kill secured. Again, he's sitting here on this angle and he says, what can I do? Should I go back directly towards my team to support them? That's an option. And you do need to consider where other teams are on the map because flanking is dangerous. Being separated from your team, not so much on a character like this, insanely so. Why with so much mobility, but with it's still risky relatively being towards your team. But in this situation, he knows he can hit a nice little flank, go with an off angle where the enemy isn't expecting him. This happens to be at the same time that the enemies try to escape, right? But right as they try and escape, he sets up and he blows them up, right? You just, however, have to be fast with your flanks. Because if he, was right here and he starts flanking and the enemy team starts pulling upwards, right? He's really far away from the fight, right? So you have to communicate to your team, hey guys, I'm flanking bottom. And you have to be fast. You need to try and take tight flanks, 45-degree angles, type of thing, and look for engages that way. In this circumstance, it worked out, and he happened to be like already kind of stuck there anyway. So, yes, finishing the targets. And Jin is very, very good at that, hunting down enemies and finishing them. And so it's okay to chase, right? And so here you're going to see him pick up a invisibility cloak. And that is an extremely powerful thing for Jin, just because it essentially allows him to continue to have an easier, more safe, and reliable version of flanking, right? You don't have to flank as hard if you're completely invisible, just naturally, right? It's a very useful tool, but you're going to see like mid-fight after he uses the Sylph Cloak, assuming he uses it, well, he dropped it, so I'm not going to use it anymore. But if he had been, after he used the stealth cloak to engage, he would have not had the stealth cloak available, and so he would have had to back up and like go an off angle here, right? So here you're gonna see, this is what I was kind of talking about in terms of like engaging from the front. As soon as our Jin player recognizes that there's too many people looking at him, he just disengages. It's that simple, right? So you're either looking for a flank angle, like I've talked about, or you're looking for an engage. If he wasn't running this amplifier build, didn't have his stacks up, he might TP behind them and look for an engage that way. That's an option since he can go through that. But since he wants to hold on to these amplifier stacks, so his dash cooldown's on a really low cooldown, he is instead waiting for us to tank some aggro. That is an option, right? The point of flanking is to allow the rest of your team, or is to get in safely, right? And so allowing the rest of us to like tank some aggro does a very similar effect, right? And here you're going to see the sickest play ever from yours truly. A triple bonfire kill. Destroyed. Yeah, a nice Jin guide, right? No. Anyway, yes. And so having that sort of, pressure from the front of your team will allow you to get in and allow you to bully your teammates, or allow you to bully the enemy, right? And what it'll let you do in that circumstance is chase anybody that separates, right? So if the enemy is engaging and they're doing their thing and your team pressures them, and one of the enemies separates a little bit, just like a little bit, right? Like 20 degrees off from their team, that can be a trigger for you to engage and kill them, right? Because you're favored in basically every one of them. right? Same sort of thing. Walk up, you see enemies. You don't have to press W, and you always need to be waiting for your team. It's a big priority, right? You wait for your team to show up. When your team shows up and is available to help you out, that's when you're looking to engage, right? Team's here, slow down, and then we can start to look to go in, right? Now the opportunity has been made. This guy gets split in the left. He looks to engage. The ghost kites him, so he disengages again, right? It's always like, if the opportunity's there, you go really hard. If the opportunity's not there, you can sometimes test it, but if it doesn't work out, then you need to disengage like immediately, right? And so that's what we're seeing consistently from this gameplay. Just like I said, like this one right here, you know. Came in, you're gonna see 2 instances of it. Oh, crap, these guys are looking at me. Not my thing, I don't wanna deal with this. He looks for a sort of off-angle flank here, but then the Kingpin matches. If the Kingpin didn't match, you could sweep underneath and look for an engage through that. But the Kingpin does match. So not really something he really wants to go in, because the Kingpin isn't like super far away from his team too. And so then right here, you know, I said he gets stuck on the train here a little bit as they're considering walking away. Looks for this opportunity. And if that ghost had used his dash already, he would be dead, right? And so that's what I'm talking about. You're looking for cooldowns to be blown from the enemy. If they've used dashes, that's an engage for you to go in. If you see them use a really important stun that would stop you, then that's your, you know, engage to go in, or your trigger to go in, right? And then you're gonna look to just do the basic combo. If it doesn't work, just get out, right? And that's what it's something that's really useful about his ultimate. You haven't seen so much of it in the gameplay, but the ultimate's the best tool for escaping with, because it can't be blocked, right? And so once you've engaged and things are going badly, or you used all your cooldowns, you can pop that in behind a corner or through a wall, and look to, you know, disengage like that, right? So, and like I said, that's what the ult's for. Really useful. You can use it some ways other times, but it's best to hold it just to escape with, right? All right, so something really unique here, interesting, is right here, he's running it down straight into the enemy team, right? So you would say, Dunmere, this is bad, right? Like, this isn't what he should be doing. But the thing is, these guys are rotating, right? They're positioning, and they're like putting themselves in an awkward situation where they're just standing out in the open with nowhere like safe to easily go to. And they've committed their positioning, right? And the bunny on the screen, you can see, is like already kind of getting farther. And so they're pretty easy to instantly dash onto, right? And you can see there's only 2 people there, with this guy like further already rotated below, and then the oath was late. So that alone is like an engagement trigger, right? Because there was an opening for him to go on. So he dashes in, secures that kill. He has enough health here. You can continue finishing the fights, right? Like I've talked about. But the decision making for when you should disengage or re-engage needs to be made about here, right? So you're sitting there, you're looking at what's going on with your team, you're looking at what's going on with the enemy team. Right here, he's full HP, or he's not full, he's like has enough HP. This guy's got absolutely destroyed. We have our HUDs in here set up to just sit there and beam the crud out of this guy. And so he knows that it's likely there's not going to be a bunch of aggro on him. He's been maxing a little bit, but he can continue the fight, right? So he's going to throw his little thingy here and look for, or dash further in, he's going to look for an engage, right? Again, but here you go. After every sort of dash engagement, he's re-evaluating. So that was evaluation number 1. We don't go in on this one. Or we do go on in this one. Dash, stop the res. But then right here he goes, okay, the bunny picked up this guy. The oath is a little bit low, but this Shiv is full HP and is going to ult me if I walk into him. So I'm going to disengage. If I hit that thing and get to stop the bunny, cool. If not, I'm going to disengage, right? This guy's super split in the middle of this team, so I can go ahead and secure that and force that fight against the enemy. But it's all about just making evaluations, right? Like hitting the baseline flank or some sort of vision advantage, right? If you can't flank, you wait for your teammates to take aggro from the enemy team. If the flank works, you engage, you go in, or your allies have tanked aggro, you engage, you look for the basic combo, and if that does well for you, if it does well enough for you, you keep going, If it doesn't do well enough for you, just slow down just a little bit, right? You don't need to force it. Going too hard is what will get you killed in a lot of games. And you have some time to just slow down a little bit. Killing an enemy, dealing a bunch of damage, that is enough value to justify you slowing down just a little bit. You know, if the enemy gets a few seconds to reset, but they're able to, like, you know, your team's still pressuring them, so they're only getting like half value from the reset, but you're able to get like full value from the reset, then in the same amount of time, like, you have won this exchange, right? And so you have secured a large advantage from all of this. So yeah, guys, that's the Jin guide. That's what I have for you. The ultimate wasn't shown a lot, so I'll talk about it a tiny bit more, but it's really just used for disengages. You can throw it behind an enemy team to engage. Don't do it over using just your regular dash, because it is such a powerful disengage. But if there is like no other way to access the enemy's backline or an available target to kill, you can go ahead and pop it behind the enemy, blow them up, and then use your dashes to escape with. Just don't try and escape with your R&B because you're likely to hit it on an enemy. You know, you would have to have an enemy to escape to, but you're unlikely to hit the enemy you want to escape with, right? So it's just awkward and isn't the right type of thing to try.